and welcome to another Allegro Academy webinar. Today we're going to cover a highly important topic for I think, all business owners selling to European Union countries, which is the PPWR, so Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation. Our guest speaker today is Philipp. He's a partner manager at Interzero, and he supports international sellers in navigating EPR and PPWR-related packaging compliance across Europe. Hi, Philipp. Nice to have you here.
Hello, thank you for the nice introduction. Yes, my name is Philipp, and I'm the partner manager at Interzero. Before joining Interzero, I worked in the marketplace and e-commerce environment. So I was also kind of working in the environment with marketplaces and as a seller. So I get it that this topic might not be the most liked by you, but it's important. There's a lot of change coming with the PPWR, and it's super important to prepare and to know how to prepare. Yeah. So today I work with marketplaces and international sellers across Europe at Interzero, and helping them to turn this complex thing to make it understandable, and also to provide the first steps. What can you do as a seller as a first step, as an action to know how to get compliant? So let's just get the expectations done right. Okay, what can we do in this webinar and what can't we do? So this is very important because packaging obligation depend heavily on the specific seller setup, the country where you are established, the country where you're selling, your role in the supply chain, and the packaging you use. All of this matters, right? So what we can expect today is general orientation, current packaging and EPR obligations, the practical shift from 12th of August, and a clear decision logic for Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia. So that this will be the focus. What we can't do in this session is to confirm individual obligations for every seller. So if you have your own setup, we can't dive too deep into it and give you advice if you have obligations in those countries or not, right? Exactly. So with that in mind, here's the agenda, and yeah, let's jump into it. And we will first explain why the PPWR matters for cross-border sellers and what actually changes from the 12th of August. Then we will look at the logic behind obligations, seller role, packaging type, country of sale, and local setup. After that, we will focus on the four markets that are most relevant for you at this very moment: Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia. And finally, we'll move you from the regulatory logic to the practical first step. That's basically what we are doing here today. And exactly, let us start with the core message, right? Packaging compliance is becoming a market access control and not only compliance anymore. So the main message today is that packaging compliance is moving from a background topic to a market access topic. In the past, many sellers looked at packaging EPR as a national administrative task. So I need to register somewhere, report the volumes, pay the fees. All of this will stay and will still exist, but it's not only the full picture anymore. There is more to it. From a practical perspective, sellers increasingly need to be able to prove compliance. So the proof of compliance will come more out of the background and will become more important. And that's to all the countries they are selling, right? And this proof will be maybe requested by authorities, by platforms, and also by marketplaces. So the four-step chain on this slide is the best way to think about it. First, where do you place your packaged good on the market? Second, who is responsible in that country? Third, which local setup is needed? And is it register? Is it a system? Are there representative reporting? And the fourth one is what kind of evidence must be available in those specific countries. Now, let us separate what is already relevant today from what will come after the 12th of August. So there is a common misunderstanding with the PPWR. You might heard about it, you might not, but every time or often when I speak to some sellers, they are thinking about, okay, the EU will make something beautiful for every seller. There will be one registration, and that's enough for all of Europe. That would be great. But I must disappoint you. That's not the case. The national EPR systems, like they're existing now in most of the countries, will continue to matter, right? Today, sellers may already need country-specific EPR registrations. So if we are talking about those countries today, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, and Czech Republic, they are already EPR obligations for you as a seller. So this will stay, right? And the practical shift from 12th of August is that the EU-wide PPWR framework generated price and packaging compliance becomes more visible, right? Producer data and proof of compliance are expected to become more important in platform and fulfillment checks. So one part of this regulation sees more responsibility within the marketplaces. So marketplaces will start to check your EPR numbers. And they will say, okay, if you want to sell to a specific country, you will need to have those EPR numbers uploaded or placed in with your product data or with your seller information. So they can say, okay, the seller is compliant, right? So that's basically a little bit of one of the big changes coming. And the other thing, maybe first we need to understand that the PPWR is a regulation done by the EU, but it will need to be translated into national law after the 12th of August. So there is no national law at the moment. So we can't say certain how changes will look like after the 12th of August. What we know now is how it looks like, what is the most or how it can play out. But it's always an interpretation of myself, because there are no laws. I can't tell you what you exactly need to do after the 12th of August. I can interpret what is already put out in information and how to prepare best. So one other thing of it is an authorized representative service. So if you're a seller in one specific country, you want to sell to another country where you don't have an establishment as a company, you are not able to register your EPR number for yourself anymore, but you would need an authorized representative to do these things for you and also do the reporting for packaging you sell to end consumers, let's say, right? That's also one of the biggest changes next to the marketplaces will check if you have an EPR number or not. So to understand why this gets complicated, we need to look at the cross-border logic. And I hope to make it as practical as possible for you, so you don't have to think about any laws or legal texts or something like that. So coming to the next slide, right? It's really important to understand that the same commercial setup can lead to different compliance outcomes depending on the country. Start with the seller profile. Where is the company established? Does it sell under its own brand? Does it import goods? Does it use fulfillment or drop shipping? Then we need to look at the sales countries. Is the seller selling to Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, or Slovakia, or even more countries, or just some of them? Is it B2C? Is it B2B? Marketplace only? Is it through an own shop? So that's also all important to get to the result if you have obligations in those countries or not. Next, look at the packaging. Also a big topic to understand. There is product packaging, shipping packaging, imported packed goods, which are not treated all the same way. The seller may be responsible for parcel packaging it adds, and in some setups, also for product packaging that enters the market. So you see a lot of informations that need to be gathered to decide if if you have obligations in one specific country or not. Only after you have all of these inputs clear, you can get to the country outcome. And then it will say you for every country, then it will be different for each country what you need to do if you have the obligations. It might be that you have to register in the EPR system, which might be one of the things that's for sure, right? So there are not many ways where you don't have to register in the EPR system in the country. But then, do you need an authorized representative to do this kind of things for you? Do you need a PRO contract? Do you need to do reporting of your packaging that you're selling to end consumers? Will you get a confirmation? How does this confirmation look like? Is it a number? Is it a document? Whatever. So there is a lot of different things that can be happening. Yeah. But now let's make this more concrete and have a little bit more focus on the key markets here with Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, and Slovakia. Poland is often the starting point for you as Allegro sellers, right? The local anchor is the BDO. If you sell to Poland, BDO and Polish reporting logic may be relevant. But this Polish setup does not automatically answer what happens when you're selling to the other countries, because it's not enough to just be registered in Poland. You will need to check if you have obligations in all the countries, right? For the Czech Republic, many sellers asked about the thresholds. So now in place, small sellers, the smallest sellers selling to the Czech Republic, there's a threshold for if you don't exceed 300 kilograms of packaging or 1 million euros of revenue, you will have no obligations in the Czech Republic. If you exceed one or two of them, you will have the obligations and you will need to do the register at whatever the Czech Republic is asking you to do to be compliant, right? So you can see, again, there is complete difference between the country and it's country specific what you need to do. Talking about the thresholds, with the PPWR, it looks like that the threshold, all thresholds across Europe will be erased, that there will be no threshold anymore, and you will have obligations with the first selling product you have done in those countries. But we don't know when, and we don't know how it will play out. It's just how it looks at the moment. But what I heard from other sources, it looks like it will not happen this year, and it will maybe happen. It will maybe take 1 year to break down this threshold, and then it's also something the Czech Republic needs to do in order to change the laws within this thing. Then we have Hungary. Hungary has its own local EPR mechanism. You see, a completely different story again, and also authority processes. For sellers, the key issue is often role clarity. Who is considered the obligated producer under specific sales and fulfillment models? So that's kind of a tricky question, but you see, you know best about your setup and which packaging needs to be considered. So again, different approach here. And in Slovakia, obligations are typically managed through registration and PRO arrangements. For foreign sellers, the question becomes whether a local setup, representative, or other proof is required for the specific activity. So to summarize it and to give you the takeaway, it's not that every seller always has the same obligation in every country. That's really important for you to understand. It's first step to enter this topic, right? It's not if you have obligation in one country, you will have obligation in other countries. That's not the truth. Yeah. So you need to check every country specific for where you're selling, right? Now let us look at one of the most common situations: sellers without the local seat in the country where they want to sell. Many international sellers ask, I'm already established in the EU, so do I still need anything in other EU countries, right? And the answer is always, or even near to almost, yes, you need to check every country for itself. What matters is where your packaged goods are made available, and whether whether you as a seller have a legal establishment in the destination country. So these are two big topics, and then you go to the first question, or you get then to the question, where do you actually sell it? Focus on active sales countries. That's an advice from me. So you just focus on the countries you're selling, not on all EU markets. You will get crazy, and it's not possible for you to understand all the obligations in all the countries. Just start with focusing where you're already selling, and then think about what kind of packaging is involved. Is it shipping packaging? Is it transport packaging? Is it product packaging, right? So that's also can lead to different obligations in these countries. Third questions, are you locally established? If not, in some countries, you already need an authorized representative. How it looks like at the moment, after the 12th of August, you will need an authorized representative in all countries you're selling if you're not have an establishment in those countries. That's an extra service. A lot of providers, there are a lot of providers out there, but it's really also a kind of intransparent market. You don't have a market price for an authorized representative at the moment because it's a pretty new kind of service, right? And then the fourth big topic, because in the end you don't really care about did I do all my obligations. So for me as a seller, I can just talk from back in the days when I was a seller. It was not kind of a good feeling to be compliant, but the good feeling is to have the evidence that you are compliant, and then that you can prove it, and then you can continue to sell on marketplaces, right? That's the main goal for all of this here. Yeah, so the practical rule of thumb is do not assume that one domestic registration number is enough for all the markets, for all the countries. You need to check all the destination market, either if you're already selling there or if you want to start selling there. At this point, I get a lot of questions. How do I start without researching every country manually? Because as you can imagine, you have a lot of information you need to check and understand to understand if you have an obligation in one specific country or not. And if you're talking about one country, okay, maybe it's okay to sit down and do all the research for one country. But if you're talking about 2, 3, or 4 countries, it gets too time consuming to do so. So that's also what we have done with our experts at Lizenzero. We provide an obligation check. It's free. There's no costs involved for this obligation check, where you can go through 5 to 6 questions. I think it's for most countries. And if you answer them, you will get a result if you have obligations in those countries and what you need to do to be compliant, right? We also offer the service to make you compliant, but you can book it with anyone else. So it's really the obligation check is a service free to use for everyone to understand what kind of obligations they have at the moment. And I will come a little bit later and explain you a little bit more about this obligation check. But yeah, mostly there will be the questions about the company location, the sales country, the packaging type, and the fulfillment type to who are the customers, are they private, is it B2B, is it B2C? It will give you a better understanding about your producer status. Are you a producer, a manufacturer? Is a registration needed? And also will help you with the output and understand what are the next steps you need to do. So yeah, we just will move forward, and I will show you a little bit more about the obligation check, right? Because it really, all the information you got here today is, there are tools to use for you to find out if you have obligations or not, right? But as I said, there are so many cases, different setups of sellers, so it gets super complicated to give you a clear, structured way to say if you're obligated or not. So we saw this problem, right? We saw it with all the talks we had with sellers who booked services similar to this one we're offering right now in Germany a couple of years ago. We gathered all of this information and we said, okay, the starting point for a seller is to understand the obligations and what he needs to do. This kind of thing can add up to 300 hours of research time if you're doing it all by yourself. We talked with the sellers. We got this kind of feedback. If you're starting to think about obligations in 5 or 6 different countries, right? Then some of these authorities and organizations only offer their country specific language, the information. So you as a foreign seller or not speaking this language, it gets complex to understand what you need to do. So all of these reasons we put in and started this obligation check. And it's really, really easy, and it doesn't involve any costs from your side. So what you're doing, basically, you go on the website and then you say, you choose your home country, and then you say, where do I want to sell, or where I'm already selling. Based on these informations, you will get 5 to 6 questions for each country, which you need to answer to. So it's like, do you have an HQ in this specific country? Do you sell to private end consumers? Easy questions. If the questions are more complex, you will have support on this side. So it will explain you what we are really looking for. So it's easier for you to give us the reply. If you don't get, or if you don't know the reply, you can always contact our support team. They can also help you with this if you don't have the answer. But in most cases, we don't get the feedback that it's tough. It's easy. You can just click through and you will get the result. And then you will get a result for all the countries you selected, for all the countries you are selling. And it will give you either the result, you have obligations, or you don't have any obligations in those countries based on what information you gave us. And it also shows you which question or which answer triggered the result that you have obligations. So that's also, if you can see it, if you click then on the country here on the right side, where you have obligations, when you clicked on it, you will see, okay, that's the answer, that's the reply I gave. Why that's why I have obligations here. Exactly. And also, what is really important, I could have today talk to you about everything this obligation check will do in a couple of minutes. I could do in a 1-hour webinar, go through the decision tree and everything like that. But it's not needed anymore, right? It's a basic understanding about the EPR, about the PPWR is enough for you to then go to an obligation check and find out if you have obligations in those countries you're selling or not. So that's an advice from my side, to go there and check if you have obligations. If you don't have an EPR registration in a specific country you're selling already, just check it. You will see if you have obligations or not. Also, good idea if you are registered in some countries and you're thinking, is it even necessary to be there registered and pay to the authorities, right? Go to the obligation check, to the obligation check. Maybe you will find out that you have no obligations. Just an idea to get the understanding of, okay, what kind of benefit will give the obligation check give you. And another thing. So we are talking about now a situation where we have the actual EPR rules already in place, and we are talking about a situation on the 12th of August and afterwards, where the countries needs to set up new laws, change laws, etc. The obligation check is daily updated. So if there are any changes, you will get the information and you can do the obligation check again. So it's up to date information about the rules of the specific countries. So it's I think that's one of the greatest thing. And then also, just a side note, if you have obligations, you can book the service with us. All of the obligations you will have, we can make you compliant in all European countries. And we are offering our service, so we cover the 31 countries, we cover 9 languages, we have a great team of experts in those specific countries, and it's one platform where you have all the obligations and all the EPR numbers you will need for selling on marketplaces in one place. So it's kind of easy. So that's where the presentation ends, and I will hand over to
you. Thank you so much, Philipp, for the whole presentation. I think we have 2 questions actually on chat, so maybe we'll display them right away. Evelyn, hi, nice to have you here. And she has a question. Allegro is asking me for a Polish BDO waste number. Is this a registration required for packaging EPR in Poland, or is it a different obligation? Łukasz already answered in chat that it's the same, but there is another part, the second part of the question. As a Finnish seller shipping from Finland to customers in Poland, how do I obtain the required BDO number?
So for now, you can register yourself, but as I just mentioned, if you are going to, if we come to the 12th of August, which is in 1 month, and how it looks like that you will need an authorized representative, you will not be able to do it by yourself anymore. You will need someone, an authorized representative, to do this registration for you and also the reporting. That's basically how it looks like at the moment.
Okay, but basically you do that online. To confirm what Łukasz said, actually, BDO waste number, the BDO is the name of the registry, of their EPR registry in Poland. That's why it's BDO, but it's an equivalent of EPR in every other market.
Exactly. I think that's a good addition. EPR number is the, let's say, the overall word for it, right? And then it's called the enhanced producer responsibility, and that's basically the whole topic is covered by this term, right? And you have this term also used for another topics, not only for packaging, but I don't want to confuse you, just to stick to the packaging. And then you have the authorities and the companies like the BDO or the authorities like the BDO that will be the register, right? Where you get the number, where then everyone can look up if you have your number as a company, and also where you then have in other countries or even in Poland the same thing, where you can then also report your amount of packaging to these authorities, which is then kind of the next step. But PPR number overall word for it, and then you have the BDO number for Poland or different authorities in other countries, which then hand out this number to you as a seller.
So if we do obligation check right now, and it will show us actual low situation with notes that will change after 12th of August, or we will have to place the check again after 12th of August. Good question.
That's a very good question, because for those specific countries we're talking right now, for the 4 countries, they are very developed in the EPR packaging kind of thing. So it's for most of the sites already requested to have the EPR number and do the packaging reporting. So you will most certainly get some obligations already today in one of those countries, right? It's a day-to-day updated decision tree, the obligation check, right? So if we see that on the 12th of August, there will be a change in those obligations, then it will be updated and you will be informed as a client, or even you will be informed by us that there are changes, with the suggestion or the advice to do the obligation check again. So we'll get the new obligations. But what I can say now, how it looks like at the moment, obligations will only go, it will most certainly be more obligations.
You're struggling to find a good word. There will be probably rather more of them than less.
Yes, exactly. So what is already in place will not be going away. It's the other way around. It will be something will be added to it, right? As always, with all the regulations. Yeah, so.
For example, in the Czech Republic, there is the limitation of 300 kilograms of packaging. That's before you exceed the limit, you don't have to register. But it looks like after the 12th of August, the limitation will not be valid anymore. And regardless of the weight of the waste, you still have to, or the packaging, you still have to register. So I think it's still worth doing it now, especially if you're not sure about your obligations now. It will give you, it's better to start sooner, of course. And as you mentioned, if I go through the obligation check, I will be informed, meaning via email or something, that the regulation changed and you should do it again.
Exactly. So what we are doing, as I said, it's a free obligation check, but you need to put in your email address and then verify your email address. That's the one thing we ask from your side, so you can get the results for your obligation check.
But you're not paying.
You're not paying. It's just putting in your email. And so we can also contact you again if there are any changes. So if you have you have done the obligation check for the Czech Republic, for example, a good example, right? So you have done it right now, you're under the threshold of 300 kilograms. So you will now get the result. You have no obligations at the moment. So when the changes come into place, we don't know when it will become, but it most certainly will come. Then we'll get an information, okay, the Czech Republic started with the new law, and now you are also obligated sending the first package to Czech Republic. And from that, we will ask you kindly to kindly do the check again, and you will get a new result. Also for other countries where there's no authorized representative needed at the moment, and it will come into place, also that will be then something you will get informed. And one thing because you said it's a good idea to start now. Yes, it is, because authorities, are working slowly. So if you're aiming to get your EPR number by August, September, whatever, you might be already too late, because authorities will work slow, and then it will take some time to get these numbers. It's like with everything else. So that's also something. It can take 3 weeks, it can take 1 month. That's really up to the authorities and also up to the workload for them.
Yeah, of course. And I just want to tell one more thing from the Allegro side, that we as a platform are just obliged to collect the EPR numbers. And you can, of course, do it right now. I send you the link. It's our obligation. So we have to react to new EU regulations, and that's one of the reactions that we have to. We had to adjust our interface like that. Okay, I think we can move on to the next question. Is there any threshold for sellers from outside Poland selling in Poland?
Not that I'm aware of. I would need to check what is the kind of thing, but I'm not aware of any threshold.
Yeah, okay. What is included in that price per country, 299 euros from your company side?
So there was someone investigating already. What is included? It's a service fee, right? So what we are doing as a service, the authorized representative is included in this service fee if it's needed in those countries. And the service will be added without any additional cost if the authorized representative is not needed at the moment, but will be needed in the future. So that's already included in this service fee. What else is in the service fee? We do the registration with the EPR authority. We will do the reporting of your packaging or waste you will send to the end consumers. That's basically what is included in the service. And also you will have one platform where everything is collected. You don't have to deal with every authorization of authority by your own. You have one contact person with us, and we will do the rest basically for you. You will have all your invoices packed in one place. You don't have to think about, okay, there's an invoice. When do I need to pay this invoice? When do I need to do the volume reporting for packaging and so on? It's all in one place. You will get informed. You will have all the due dates and so on. So it will make your life a lot easier.
Okay. Not to be biased, I mean, I cannot be, so I will have to add that we have, of course, other partners that we cooperate with, and you have the link to the obligation check on chat, plus in the presentation, so you can check it out right now. And I also send you a link to the list of our trusted partners, so remember that basically the consultation is usually free, so you can just try to contact each of them if you want, and then compare prices and see what's more beneficial for you. One more question. Are we obliged to report only, or is part of these obligations printing the labels on packages? For instance, if we have a product packed in a foil, do I need to print a label on it or no?
Okay. So that's a question. That's the PPWR is a regulation that not only will give a new framework for packaging and EPR numbers like we are focusing on today. So there are a lot of other things that also are regulated or giving another framework for. And one kind of thing is the labeling and also how the packaging should be more recyclable. Let's use the easy words, not to go into the legal terms. Packaging should be more recyclable. That's one of the basic ideas in the PPWR. And the PPWR is not only a thing that's coming on 12th of August. It's a running thing I think it's going to 2030 or even further. And it will have a lot of regulations on the way coming every year. So for this kind of thing, where it's going if you have obligations to print something on the label about the packaging. I know, for example, in France, you will have to print on your product. You might have seen it already if you sometime about a French product. There you have a small comic which says, okay, where do I need to recycle it? Where do you need to put the packaging, and what is consisted of the packaging? So again,
yeah, in Hungary there are also like holograms or something like pictograms on.
Exactly, and again it's national law that will decide on what needs to be done. So that it's something we as Lizenzero.com are not offering in our product. But Interzero, as a company, which is the mother company, will have consultancy for all this kind of topics. What do I need to do? How should my packaging should look like, and so on. But it's, I will say, that's also something our experts will give you as an extra service. But it's not really inside our service. But to be honest, I can't say for this example if you need to print something on it or not.
How is the reporting of quantities done? Is it once per year, and how is this then checked?
That's different in every country. Some countries do it quarterly or even more frequently. In some countries it's enough to do it once a year, but it depends then on the authorities on each country. So exactly. So you need to be aware, and how often you need to do it.
Yeah, that's also, I think, very convenient to get acquainted with a company that will remind you about the deadlines, for example, and help you with reporting, because it varies in every country, and if you sell to multiple countries, that can be a lot to do by yourself, especially, plus there's an authorized representative that you're gonna need. And regarding how the reporting is done, meaning how do you count packages, because sometimes I get questions like, okay, so now I have to weight every package.
Yeah, no, I want advising to weight every packaging you are selling, but you will roughly know of what kind of things your packaging consists, right? Is it plastic? Is it paper, carton, whatever? And then you have a roughly idea of how much the carton is weighing, or how much weight it has. And then you can say, okay, I'm selling 1,000 products to Czech Republic. Then it's a quick multiplication, and you know how many ways you send to the end consumer. And in the end, it depends on how much you're sending, right? But if you're thinking about the difference between 300 or 3,000 kilograms, the difference in price is not so crazy.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
I think another tip is that, thank you for that, that's important to know. Also, if you order packaging, then you have invoices from the companies that sold you the packaging. So there's also information specification, how much everything weighs and the materials. So you can probably use that as well, and then multiply it by the number of your orders. So yeah, you will have to probably have some kind of internal Excel file to categorize it, but it will be you don't have to weight everything. Thank you so much, Philipp, for the webinar, information on your company, and also information on the PPWR.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great afternoon. Bye.